Okay, so let me know.
Good
I
evening.
want to.
Sorry. Is it good evening there?
Yeah, it says 9:21.
Okay, good evening.
Mm. So were you able to get get around the stuff that I shared with you?
Even before you shared the link, I'd already tried. So the issue I'm having now is I need to create a business account so I can get the free trial because the one I have is a personal account.
And you
So
can
I'm
use a
unable
personal
to
account
create,
to set it up. That's what I used.
but it's not giving me that option to um create a trial account. Like it says I can't do it without my own account.
Oh, okay.
So I now tried setting up a business account, and so I got to the part where I'm to use my card, but
Mm,
I don't know. I keep getting error, which I don't know why.
mm. Okay, what we'll do is maybe after this class, if you can stay back, then
Okay.
I can show you how to get that done. But the problem
All
I'm
right.
having now
Thank you.
is that the table we created before, I created it in his account, but now I'm not even seeing how to. I don't want to start recreating it. I just want to import it and
Okay.
use. No, this is not what I'm looking for.
Russia. So the president has been helpful, as very importantly, as Prime Minister, President of France, other members, including Canada, who are
Hmm. Do you think we should recreate what we did last time? I think we can do that.
Yeah, we can. It's pretty easy. Instead
Since
of
it's
distress.
uh, let me just recreate it here because why I want to recreate it here is because I don't want us to have connection issue. I can actually link to his own site using the URL
Okay.
and put the list, but then it doesn't make sense because
Mm,
that's something I can do it here. Why we did it that yesterday was that last weekend was that I was not able to get this one done, right? So now that he has
okay.
that the list built in his space, and now I can't be walking across two different environments like that. So let me try to build it again.
Okay.
But what I will do is to open it up somewhere so that I'll be looking at it. This is it here. And so let's name this HR. So I'm typing in another screen. Is that does that
Okay.
okay? Let me better I show you what way I'm typing on. So see
Because
what
I would
I'm
like to
doing.
take a screenshot so I can replicate my data bars. I tried doing it over the weekend, but I didn't
It's
remember all
okay.
of the details.
Yeah, can you see what I'm doing now? So I added another screen.
Okay.
I see this screen now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let me work on this one so you see what I'm doing. Onboarding, right? Okay, show in navigation site. Great. So it's basically just the same thing. I just have to do add column, and the first column is employee phone number. So you say you wanted to do what?
And I said I wanted to create mine in Dataverse, but I couldn't because I didn't remember all of the details that we used.
Oh, okay.
Since I can't access SharePoint, so I wanted to do mine in Dataverse.
Dataverse, yeah. So like I was trying to tell you, all these things are better done in Dataverse, right? In Dataverse,
Mm,
they are better done in Dataverse. But for teaching people newly, I tried Dataverse
mm,
and it's like a little bit difficult for people to understand. So
okay.
that's why I had to go and register for this one so that I can have access to SharePoint, and so I can be able to show them. SharePoint is easier to understand. At least if we can do with SharePoint for a month, then we can progress into the Dataverse.
All right. And since I don't have access to SharePoint, so I'm going to be doing my own Dataverse.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Let's say yes, I'm not question. So if you have any question while I'm doing this, anything else, and just call my attention to it. I'm just trying to rush it. Okay. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now I've just completed what I'm doing. So let me try to go to Power Apps so that you can start properly. Power Pages, first Power Apps. Okay, so let me see. Okay, guys, if you guys are just coming in now, what I did was basically what we did last week. So we had some issues of moving the data source around, but I've been able to get that done now. So now let's proceed with creating the application. So this is a Power Platform, Power Apps Studio. This is where you create the application. What I've been doing before is just to set up the, what's it called, the data source. So let's create. So there are so many options of how you want to create your application, right? You can use Copilot, like we see in most Power Apps, Microsoft tools. You can start with your data source. You can start with just a page design. I can start with a blank canvas. Since we have a data source, let's start with data source that we have. So this is just a new, what's it called, setup that I paid for. So it's taking time to set up this environment before we can be able to use it. So let's just give it some few minutes. Okay, so now I'm connected to SharePoint, and we're going to find our Power Apps training, the one that I just created here. And you can select it. And within that Power Apps training, this is the site of the site I first created. Within that site, you see the lists that you created as well. You select the list and now create app. So what Power Apps does is that it looks at your data. Yeah, I'll come to you just a minute. It looks at your data and would use the model of your data to create a first layer of app for you, just to make the work faster for you, so that you can now start, start building on top of it. So once you give your data, it will scribble something for you like an artist and allow you to continue from there. All right, so you can go and ask. I'll go ahead and answer your question.
What
Hello,
if
sir.
your data source is Dataverse? How do you connect it to Dataverse?
It's the same process, the same thing. I can show you now. It's basically the same thing. Let me show you.
Okay, that would
So
be
that,
appreciated. Thank you.
yeah, I'll show you now. Because I was there before. That was the first thing I clicked before I went back. If you had, followed what I was doing, you would have seen it. That's the first thing I did. And why is it that way? Remember, Dataverse is built Power Platform is built on top of Dataverse. So Dataverse is the primary data source for all Power Platform tools, right? So it's easier to connect to Dataverse than I connect to any other thing. So when you come here and say start with data, for example, you click start with data. Now, if you say existing table, you see where I wrote Dataverse, it considers anything that is table, anywhere you see table in Power Platform, it is talking about Dataverse, right? So if you click create existing table, you are going straight to Dataverse. If you say in external data, you are SharePoint, all those SQL Server, all those things that are external. But now, if you want to use Excel or CSV, you go here. So let me just click on the select existing table. So you see, this is the the default tables. If you're using Dataverse, you see all these default tables that usually will be added to your Dataverse environment once you're able to set it up. This is it. So any one of them you click now, it will create with that one. So if you have an like you're creating a data source as I was doing now, just come here, you find the data source and use it. That's basically the same thing as what I did with SharePoint here. You understand? Adenike?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I've not heard of Ife. Ife, how are you doing? Let me hear your voice. What's up? Hello, Ife, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I just want to know if you're with us. So now, if you're seeing my screen, this is what the Power Apps has done. It has created like a first layer of application for us. Now, this application is as good as done. If we can decide to, if we want to add anything on it, we can do that. If you don't want to add anything, we can decide to leave it. But this is something that we have a working document. Now, let me describe some of these things for you so that you understand what is happening here. So this is the data source we created. If you're looking at these things, you see that it's the same thing that we created here. The same thing that we created here. This is the same thing, right? This is the same, guys. The information I added here, that's the same thing you are seeing here. That's the same thing you are seeing here, right? If you click on it, okay, let me put it in play. So if you click on this, you see the finance guy. Click on this, you see the security officer. You click on this, you see the IT admin. So this is the actual data we added there, right? So the way it is looking is now for us to start structuring it how we want. Now, this is just a very light application. We can use it this way. We can add more things to the body of it. That's why I was saying that when we start building, there may be other things that we would want to add, or subtract. So other things we need to, other columns we need to add. If we look at this body now and it's not as detailed as we want it, we can decide to add something on it or can decide to remove on it. If you look at how these things are displayed, they're not displayed properly. There's a way to correct all of these things. So let's get to work. So if you're using Power Apps for the first time, there's a way to display the application you are building and use it or test it. That's what I did. So when I was in the studio, I couldn't click around because it's in developer mode, right? So, but now that I was able to put it in play mode, like it's in production, you will be able to use the app and test it and see what you're working on. And once you're able to do that and, confirm what you want to do, now you can check it in different screen sizes, right? This is why I wanted us to also, anyway, it's good that we are doing the practical so that we can also talk about some things that you dare not miss. As a developer, you need to see how your app looks in multiple screens. So the right time to do that is when you are done developing, right? Once you are done developing, you look at it. But then it's also as a cautious move. You don't want to wait until your app is done and then you start, looking at some things that are supposed to be basic, like screen sizing. So what people do is basically look at it while they are developing, because you can add some features and then they are not, looking out well in some other screen sizes. So the screen size we're using now is browser. That's why it's highlighted. If you can see my screen, my mouse. Now let's look at other screen sizes. This is tablet, and you have a list of some tablets here that you can select, and you check the size or how your app fits within that tablet. So let's check iPad mini. See? Immediately it goes to iPad mini. Instead of the three columns that we have on the right side, it changes it to one column. so that they can fit into this screen. So this is called responsiveness, which is very, very important. Responsiveness is how your app will adjust whenever it gets to a new screen. So before now, this is why I need to be very, very, very detailed in this part. If you have started building with Power Apps earlier, there wasn't this whole this thing you are seeing now was not there before. It's like new developments. You have to create it yourself manually. So people that started creating Power Apps, like let's say 2 to 3 years back, actually built these things on them by themselves. And we'll come to them. We'll explain why they're important. You use them for responsiveness. I'll talk about that. So you see, now we can go to phones. In phones, let's look at the latest phones that we have. First, oh, we don't have iPhone 16. We have 14 Pro Max. Okay. So see, this is 14 Pro Max, but laying this side, and we can flip it around to see the orientation. So this is good as a developer for you to see your work and know how it is, going and all of that. So that's. Let me switch it back so that we can go back to what we're doing. All right. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask as well. Now, I know I explained some of these things, before when I was about starting the class, but then we'll get to know how to can use it. So once the engine has built this thing for us, we need to now ask ourselves, what do we want? Do we want to have another screen? Depending on the usage of your app. Let's say, for example, you want HR wants you to be able to add some other things in the screens. HR might want you to create the personal screen for them, like an admin page, where they can control what people can see in their own general screen. You understand? So this is basically an app for both HR, the line managers, and even the people that are being employed that can use. So a HR person might want you to create an admin page whereby they can control the functions that is happening here. And it's very easy to do as well. So in that case, if you want to create something like that, you can come here and add another screen. Now, this makes sense. Why do we want another screen? Now, before I talk another screen, let me show you something, because you see the things that we're talking about, these demarcations, these things that are like the structural background of this first screen, they call it containers. And in core development, if you do CSS and HTML, you understand how containers are like the bedrock of web development, right? The same thing applies here. Power Platform is basically using the same principles. It's just the same thing. So, but now, why it is Power Platform, why it is a low-code tool, is because they have leveraged those tools and built something that will allow you to do a drag and drop. So you're no longer doing heavy code. To get this simple screen now, if you're doing just core development, you are going to write excessive code. It might not be, like hardcore coding, but the code will be voluminous to an extent. At least you will get like a page of HTML and CSS out of this for you to be able to get something like this. You understand? So, but to make the work less and to make the work easier for users like us who are just trying to be citizen developers before we'll get our hands strong, this is the easiest thing to do. So that's why you come here, you will see screen container, table container. I'm taking my time to explain this, but I don't want you guys to be confused. You might be seeing anything container, something container, this one container. What do they mean? They mean these things. These things here are literally containers, because this guy is holding these two things. This guy now is holding those two things. So it is called a container for these two things, right? If I click on it now, you see the name. Selected record container. That's it. Now, why the function basically is to give your app a structure and also to allow for responsiveness. So you see the time I was switching from screen to screen and the structure is changing. It is because of the containers. The containers have what's it called? A instruction, like a coding behind them that, oh, if it's this screen, change like this. If the screen size is from here to here, change like this. And there's something like this also in core development, where you would say, oh, if you are viewing this page in a web, okay, take up this screen size, something like that. That's exactly what's being replicated here. So let's go back to adding the new screen. The new screen we might not use, but I want you to see how that functions as well. So now, why I have to take my time to explain all those things. When you're adding a new screen, you will see all of these options. Microsoft will spoil you with options. These things were not there before, but that is good that it's here so that you can know what you want to do. So the one we are using now looks like this, right? So we can as well go with it, or if we are sure of what we are doing, that what we are doing is different from what we want to do, we can take something else. But since we are not sure of what we are going to do with it yet, I can go with the same one that we are using. You see, like it's the same structure. See, it's a little bit it's not the same because this guy stretches over to this side for here, but then it's not the same thing here. So I'll just go with this. So what do we name it? We name it screen 2. Now, there is what we call naming conventions. If you see these things, you see there's a way some of these things are named, right? So these things you have to take in mind when you're naming things when you're building. Yeah, it's this one should be camel, I think so. They have a couple of them. This one should be camel, where you have each the first, any of the letter would start with a capital single alphabet, while the other ones are in small letter. Then if another word comes in, the same thing is replicated. So that way, it's like there's a naming convention for it. Now, if you're naming things like variables and all of that, they also have their own naming conventions. I want to start getting to that also to talk about it. So let's go to this. Now, the first thing we need to do is to give this thing a new face. Now, what kind of detail? If you think as if you are an app you are a user. Whenever you are trying to develop an app, act as a user. What would you want to see as a user? That's the question you ask yourself. If you are a user, you are a HR person, and you are opening this HR app onboarding, what details do you want to see here? Because here, these are employees that are coming into the company, right? At a glance, you want to see, a snap detail of who they are, right? So, for example, the job role is not here. If it's here, it will make a little bit of sense. If you don't mind their email being here, you can keep it. But if you mind, you can take it out. If you want their starting date as an HR person, or you are a manager or anything, starting date is very, very important in this kind of scenario, right? Because you want to know quickly when this person is coming to start this job, so that you don't have to open and start going to details to look for it. So we need to reconfigure these and make it what's it called? Have the snapshot of details, quick details that we want it to have. So let's start from there. And this is basically the easiest part of this. So these are the label. I mentioned about this before. These are labels. So they use labels, to kind of hold data. So display data. So you can come here, instead of you adding a new label, you can come here to duplicate it. So we can come on this one. Okay, there's something here already. So let's change that one. So when you click a single label, you can now open it up. So each item in this studio has a property. I explained this, I think, our first time class. I was explaining properties. So here you will see all the properties that concerns this single label, right? So this is how you can manipulate this web label. Now we are currently on tests, and test is the one that holds the test that displays to the user. So within this test, this is displaying the column title. And you remember when we were setting up our what's it called, our data source, we removed title. Title was the first thing that came up here automatically. If you are in the last weekend class, we talked about why title is not necessary, and we removed it, right? So because we remove it, it's not holding any data. That is why this guy is blank. So we can now use it, instead of deleting this label completely, you can now use it for something else. So what would we want to see there? Maybe name. Why not employee? Why not the name of the employee? Where is the name of the employee? Did I not add name of employee? Let me see. Oh, employee. Okay. Now, you guys should understand why I did what I did now. I was telling you about the person column. If you remember, I said that I would explain more why we want to use the person column and the polymorphic nature of person column. Polymorphic nature of person column is that it's not like a direct structure. It does not hold data like we know. So it holds data all around it, right? So that's exactly what you saw there. So here, we can see that we were able to select, don't mind my name everywhere. That's because I just set this thing up. I've not added members of the company. That's why you see my name everywhere. So we'll take time to add maybe random names so that it's easy to understand. But what are we doing? We are trying to display the name of this guy. That's an employee. So immediately we write the column employee, which is a person column. It gives us an option with the dot notation. This dot notation will give us an option to select some other attributes of that employee column. Now, you wouldn't see, what's it called? A test column, for example, acting like this, right? Because it's just a test column. That's why I was opting that day. So, okay, for us to not use the test column and use the, what's it called? And use the person column. So person column holds more data. Had it been in this company now that we have, we've gone into Azure and created all of this Azure, what's it called? AD, and created all of the details. There are so many more details we can add to this. I think we've gone and created that, then would have seen a little more details, maybe the person's first name, the person's last name, all of those things, their office location. There are so many details that could come with the person column. So here you can get the person, what's it called? Even get the person's manager if there's a proper structure and the person manager has been keyed in Azure AD as well. So all of that, even the person's department, you can get from here. The person's display name, the person's email, the person's job title, all of these things you can get from here. So here we can now do display name. So if we click display name, that is when you now see it pulling, the name of the person. So there you move on to the second one. The second one is their phone number, which I don't think we need. So I will add the role. So I'll go to the attributes, and now it's very important. Forget that Power Apps did the job for us. Now, what we need to do here is whenever we add a label, I want to point it to something to hold a certain data. Remember, we are within a data source. We have connected this entire space into a data source, right? So we are now talking about in the context of a data source. So if you're talking in the context of a data source, you're also talking in the context of this item, the item you are currently editing. So that's where the function this item comes in. This item is you referring to the current item you are working on. So without referencing this item, in this kind of gallery situation, you will not get anything right. So I had to remove that to do it again so that we understand the importance of it. So when you now say this item, which column do you want to connect in this item that you are working with? That's basically what the question is. And now we want to connect to role. So we look for role. So this is role. So you see what it does? It goes and looks for the roles of everybody within this gallery. Immediately I added row. He added IT admin to this guy, added finance to this guy. That's basically how it replicates itself. And within this entire gallery, even if we have up to a 2,000 record, once this is done, it applies across board. Please go ahead, Denike.
Okay. I don't know if it's a question or I don't know, or clarity. So the only reason we used display name is because we use this in the data type is person, right?
That is not, I don't know. Okay, I want you to finish your question so that I don't, I will answer it
Because
properly.
now that we are using this item dot row, we didn't include dot display name. So I just wanted to get it right. That is
Yes,
it because
yes.
of
So
person
you know why we did
item
not
data
put
type?
the display name? Because
What
while we are creating the role column here, what is the data type of the row column? Do you remember?
Of the row text.
The row column, this row column now. Look at the data type, is text. So does text have the the function of polymorphism to be able to have more taglines, have more people, dragging more people, having more details? Does it have that ability? No. So you cannot reference some other things off of it. Do you understand my point?
Okay.
So it's just standing on its own. That was why, remember, I first created employee name using a text column, and I changed it last week. And I said, you guys will understand why I did what I did. I wanted to make all of these, basic things and how they should be. It helps somebody who is learning understand why something is in place. I could just come in and go straight and use a person column and will not explain the reason behind it, and then that would be what you would understand. And then when you see something beyond that, it might be a little bit confusing. So, but that's the reason why. So now we have Edison Ibekwe as the name. We have the role as IT, and then we have the email. But we don't need the email here. What do we need? We need their start date. So we'll remove employee email and add start date. So this item also have that dot notation ability because it's holding a record. That long, this is the item. This is what we call an item. This is what we call an item. This is a full item. You understand? All of this thing now is an item. Because if you now reference this particular one, you would have more details off of it. That's exactly how, what's it called? The person column also works. If you are referencing person column, you see more options attached to it. So here, if we want to reference the dates, we just come here to click start dates. See, so it shows us start date immediately. See now, comparing this to what we have before, this is more decent, right? It looks more detailed and straight to the point for the user. That is the sense behind this whole thing. But we can do better. We can actually add their pictures. We can actually add their pictures. I want us to do that one maybe by next weekend because we don't have time to fit all those ones in. But we can add each of these guys' picture. It's simple. How do we get their picture? Two ways. They can actually have if they have added picture to their own profile within Microsoft, we can reference it here. That is where we can see something like this. If you know how you use a Microsoft account and then you're trying to set up your profile picture, we can access that profile picture here, right? But now, based on how our data source is, it's something that we don't have available. So let's go back to display name. Now, if we want to add pictures here, how can we find a way around it? It's simple. We can use Excel. If we can use a SharePoint, sorry. If we use SharePoint, we can use attachments, something they call attachments. Now, you see, you can actually use this image if you want to, or you see other columns. So within other columns, you should see attach. Oh, sorry. Why am I doing this? It's not here. It's supposed to be somewhere else. It is supposed to be here. Because it's already added. You just have to add it. See, this is attachment, right? So attachment means even if it's PDF, Excel, anything that you want to use as a document. So you can actually add pictures here as well. And then if you add that picture here, or use the picture file type, this one, I use this guy. Let's say we'll call this one picture. So these two things, we can reference it in the app and display it within their item. So we can come here and reference it here, and I'll show you how we can do that. But before that, we can make this thing, the page we are looking at, we can make it even better. So I will take our time to build this thing out, right? But we can make it better. So what can we do to make it better? If somebody is looking at this, they don't know what they are looking at. It might be, for us that are building it might make sense to us. But for maybe the new employee that's coming in, they might not understand the thing they are looking at. So sometimes we do what we call concatenation. So concatenation is something like that. I'm sure you have a similar thing in Power BI. You can come here to say concatenate. I use this one and say concatenate. You now write concatenate to say name. So you see what the simple thing I've displayed now, it looks more reasonable for the naked eye. Somebody is looking at it now, you say, oh, this is name column, and the name of this person is Ibekwe Edison, something like that. So we can replicate this across board. Instead of row here, we'll do this is called unbundle app. Okay, so let's view this small work we did now. You see, this is not how it was looking before. It has more shape and form, right? And we can get in more details here as well to make it, look like a real application. So next thing we will do is to add a photo. Maybe our time is what I'm looking at. That is the next thing I can add to this. And then I think we'll, run that up and go to something else. But then if you have any question so far, just let me know. Do you have any question?
I don't have any question. Sorry, I actually
None for
joined
me.
late, but rewatched the video. So I don't have any question.
Yeah, so there's nothing. The first time we came in, we were doing mostly data source, which is the same thing we did before, right?
Sorry, is this the first screen or the second screen?
This is the first screen. I didn't do anything in the second screen.
Okay. This is why I'm confused because I was looking for all of the information.
Mhm.
Okay, because you clicked on one, is that why?
Yeah, so why I was trying to show you, I don't want you guys to just think it's only one screen we can have. We can have multiple screens, but you need to understand that Power Platform, Power Apps is like a low-code stuff, right? Having multiple screens will slow it down. Having multiple connections will slow it down. What do I mean connection? There's some data, some app you'll be developing, and you will need to connect to several data sources depending on where data lies, right? So when you are connecting more data sources, the app gets slower. When you're adding more screens, the app also gets slower. In fact, if you are building, if you have any error in this screen now, you see error pop up here, app checker, error pop up, you see one red mark here to warn us of something. So we'll get to that point. It's not like you need to know all the details and follow it up at the same time. These guys will help you, do a lot of, be easy to manipulate your applications and all that. So any other question? So I think this is a good start. If you have the opportunity to do this with us, that would be very helpful for you as well, because now if you're working on it, you will get used to it as you are doing it. So what I can do now, let me show you how we can add those pictures so that you understand what I'm doing. You see, this is a gallery. The fact that the Power Apps engine added this structure for us automatically as it was looking on our data structure makes the foundational work easier. But then you need to know how everything here works, right? This one is a search, and this search is like two elements here. There's the search inputs. This search inputs, it's something you can find here. Just come here to say inputs. It should be under inputs. Pen inputs, search inputs, is not under inputs. That means it should be under. Is it class? Is it a classic on? Let me see search. Okay, this one is just icon. Why am I not seeing the search inputs? Should be somewhere here. I don't want to waste our time, but then let me go on with what I'm saying.
Oh, can we check
So,
display?
Yeah. Which one did you mention? Display?
I said, can we check display? I don't know. I'm just suggesting.
It might be there. I know it's somewhere here. I don't know the particular one now that I can find it in, but all of these things are useful to what we are saying. It's somewhere here.
And we can explore that on our own.
Yes. So what I'm trying to tell you is how this thing was actually made up. It's not like it's out of thin air. Rather, this is the search, and this one is an icon. This is the search icon. How do you see icon? If you go here, you see all the icons that you want to see, right? The same icon is here. The same icon is here. There, this one, you can use a lot of things to this one. You can use just a label. You can use shapes as well to do it, and then test on it, basically. This one is also, what's it called, a button, but then with this icon on it. And now this is gallery. And if you add gallery, what gallery needs is your data source. So if you add gallery, it will be empty. But then once you connect the data source will show here, which is basically what we built before. Now, this is a form. I remember when I was talking about the form one time about different forms. There's a view form, there is a display form, and there's a new form, and all different kind of edit form rather. So this is a form. Now, if you want to edit this form, because this is the first layer of the thing, Microsoft has just did a little bit of work for us, right? You can just come here. See, it's not editable. That's because it's in view mode. Now, if you are using this app, you don't want people to immediately come here and edit something. It might mess up the whole data. So if somebody wants to actually edit something, they should come here to edit it. That's basically what it means. So when you click this pencil, it is now in edit mode. So you can, edit. And I can show you how we're able to come to, all of these conclusions. You understand? So I think that should be it. Let me show you before. I don't know why I'm always forgetting. I want to add that picture. So to add anything to this gallery, why I went into explaining how things were added to this gallery was I want you to know how it is done. So to add something to this gallery, you need to come here, see this pencil. If it's not clicked, anything you add will not get into the gallery. So you should come here and click this. So once you click this, go ahead and add whatever you want to add. Even if you already copied it, you can paste it. In this case, we want to add a picture, right? So we'll look for an image. Yes, display. Media. This is image, right? So you add image. So it's loading. Now you see what happens. Because I'm adding it in just one record, but I'm adding it properly, it will add it in all the available records that I have, which is what we want to happen, right? Because if I didn't click that single pencil to put the gallery on display on edit mode, and I add it, it will just be one, and it will not be in the gallery, it will just be on top of the gallery, and that is a major mistake that people usually make. So what do? We'll move this thing by the side. It will go by the side completely, and then we'll find a way to adjust these things. It's simple. Just move it. I know there are some, what's it called? Things that I will show you. These are how you structure your elements within the screen. So using this X and Y, you use it to place things where they are supposed to be. So since this one is clicked, let me not go there. Let me show you from here. It will be easier. See the X axis of this guy is the position is 16. The Y on the Y axis is on 14. So what do you mean by X axis? This here is, you know how the graph thing is, just like the X and Y axis of a graph. So from here to here is 16. From here to here is 42. That's what it's looking at. From here to here, 16. Here to here, that's basically what it's calculating. So we need to, have that piece of, because once you move it, it becomes an issue. So let's move this to show you something. Right? You see, that's changed. But for 2 did not change because we didn't move it up or down, but we moved it from, X axis. And it's now 100. Now, this is not advisable. Why? Because once you're moving things around like that, you are messing a lot of things up. So what do? We work with numbers. So let me show you what I mean by working with numbers. You go to the next one, we are going to do the same thing, but we'll do it differently. So this is the next one, and it's 16. We'll click on it. And instead of putting it at 16, we'll put it at 100. Why we put it at 100? Because it's at 100. The first one we did was at 100. You see, it's 100. But the problem now is that it does not respond as we want it. This one is shorter, while this one is longer. So you need to know the full length that you want, and then adjust the length as well. So there's a way to always, do this kind of a thing so that you don't mess the data up. So now you see the picture is now perfectly fitting in. I can go ahead and do further modifications of this. So if we had actual picture now, we can add it here. So if you're scrolling, and you can see who is coming into the department and their snap details. So guys, I think this will be the end of our class for today, and we can continue from tomorrow, from next weekend, sorry. So please, any questions? Or we all understand what was going on today?
Yeah, all good on my side.
Okay. Thank you guys then. Thank you very much. Adenike, maybe you can stay back so that I can walk you through, or do we connect differently? So that since we are doing something, it's better we connect differently. Just send me a link so that I'll
All right. I'm
connect
here.
with you. All right, guys. Good night. Take care.
So we can stop the recording of this one.
Yes, of course.
All right. Thank you.
No, I think it's Bring I need to stop
Okay.
recording.
I think you said you should message him after the
Okay,
once we are
let
done
me
with the
message
class.
you. Let me message you.
Okay. Thank you for the class. So thank you so much.
Yes, it's. I think people are in a haste to start coding and building, but then you need to understand some of these basics first. Hello, boss. Yeah, we are done. I want you to stop the recording so that we can continue. I want to add something I want to show and then okay. All right.